Record. Okay, welcome. Hello, Women Who Influence, and welcome to the September monthly call. I'm so happy to have you all here today, and I'm excited to get started and thrilled to begin this amazing project and this amazing book. As you know, I'm just in the process now of wrapping up Women Who Inspire, and we are less than 2 weeks away from our book launch. So it's a very, very exciting time for the Women Who Inspire. And anything that you can do to be a part of that book launch, I would definitely suggest that you do, because it's only going to give you, first of all, more reciprocation when it's time for you to launch your book, Women Who Influence. But it also gives you some really great practice. And just kind of, really be kind of getting your feet wet and the process and how it all works and, just kind of the feel of it all, really, right? So anything that you can do to hop on, take anything from my page that you see that resonates with you and repurpose that information or forward on or share or repost, whatever you want to do, that would be super helpful. Obviously, anything you can repost about the series is going to also be beneficial for you and this book, right? Because it's all connected, which is what has made this series so successful. So we want to continue with that trend. So just wanted to kind of share with you a little bit about what's going on in this series as a whole right now. And that will obviously give us some beautiful momentum leading into this book, Women Who Influence. So now to get started today, again, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat section. And if you don't have any questions, hello, Denise. Or if you're not on this call live and you have questions, then go ahead and put them in the group and just be sure to tag me when you put any post or any question in the group that you want me to see. Just be sure to tag it, tag my name. Okay, perfect. So today I just wanted to let everybody know where to get started. So within the Facebook group, there is a book program timeline and deliverables PDF, and that is the best place to get started with all of the program and book information. That's going to outline all the things that you are expected of you as deliverables within the program, all of the things that you can get started on. Oh, can you guys hear me? I had this in the whole time. No wonder I couldn't hear you guys. You could still hear me? I guess the mic is that good on these things. Can you hear me better now? Or no? Is it the same? Because I just went to plug these in and realized they were already plugged in. I'm just curious if you guys can hear me differently. The mic on these must be amazing that it was all the way across my desk and you guys could still hear me. Anyway, so about the same. Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, now we know. So this is where I would suggest to begin. First of all, if you have not already sent me over your author headshot, please go ahead and send those over now. As soon as possible, as soon as we can get those is fantastic, because we're going to be creating graphics and all sorts of marketing material throughout the entire book project, but we need your headshot picture in order to begin doing that. So the sooner you can get that over to me, the better. And those are due pretty much immediately upon joining the program. That's your first deliverable. So if you can email that over to katebutlerbooks@gmail.com, that would be fantastic. I want those sent directly over to me so that I can ensure, that all of it gets directed to all the right places at that point. Okay, so go ahead and send those over to me at your earliest convenience. The second thing that I would begin doing is I would begin to brainstorm the questions that I'll be asking you during our strategy call. So the questions that I'm going to begin asking you are, What is your intention behind this project? What is your intention behind wanting to write a chapter in this book? What is your intention for joining this book? What is your intention for publishing this book? So I want to understand why you're doing this. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to understand is, how do you want your reader to feel? That's number 2. The third thing I want to understand is, what's your goal? What is your goal for, once this book comes out? What do you hope to gain from this? Okay. What do you hope to have as an exchange for you putting your story out to the world, and what you want back in return? So all of those things are really important for me to understand going into the strategy call, because I want to ensure that when I receive your chapter, that the way that the chapter is written and the information that is included in your chapter meet what your intention is, meet how you want your reader to feel, and meet what your goal is of this project. All right. So those are the 3 things I'll be asking you. And I just want to put those out there now so that you can ensure to start thinking about those before the call and really come prepared for that strategy call. Some of you have already booked your strategy call, and that's fine. And some of you have already had your strategy call, and that's fine too. For those of you who have not, I'll be posting a link within the Facebook group, and through that link is where you will be able to book your own strategy call with me. When to book the strategy call? Book the strategy call when you know you are going to have time that day, that week, or over the next few weeks to begin writing. So if you know that September is nuts for you, or the beginning of October is nuts for you, and that you're not going to have time to begin writing your chapter until the 3rd week in October, then please don't book your strategy call with me this week, because everything that we talk about is going to really set your wheels in motion. And you're going to want to capture that as soon as possible after our call. So we don't want a ton of lag time in between the strategy call and when you start to put together your first draft of your chapter. Okay, so the chapter ideally is going to be for women who inspire. Let me go ahead and admit. Hello. So I see a 407 number. Welcome to the call. We've already begun, but we're so happy to have you. I'm not sure who it is, so if you want to chat your name in the chat section, that would be great, just so I can say hello. And so for women who inspire, the ideal number of words for the chapter was between 2,000 and 2,500. That was the real sweet spot. Now, I always say, look, I'm not here to cut you off mid-sentence, right? I mean, my job here as your publisher is to ensure that the best story comes across, supports your goals, supports your intentions, supports your audience, and also tells your story and positions you in the best way. So if it takes you 2,700 words to tell that story, then so be it, right? Now, look, if we get up to 6,000 words, we're going to have to cut out because it's let me go ahead and mute, because it's going to be, here's what happens. I'll just be frank. Here's what happens when the chapter is too long. When the chapter goes really beyond 3,000 words, you are putting so much detail in your story, or you're sharing so much that there's no good place to stop. So you tend to kind of tell this long-winded story, and then your audience is in it with you, and then they're like, okay, where's the next chapter? Where's the rest of it? Because it's so involved at that point. Okay. And because it's not an entire book, it's just a chapter, we actually have to cut the words to a point where we can ensure that the story is concise, to the point, and very direct. So it's hitting all the points, but it's just a synopsis of it versus really getting into all the details of the story. And then people are in it with you, and then you leave them hanging at the end. So a lot of times people feel like, oh, if I have longer to tell the story, that I'm going to, be able to share more, and the audience is going to be more fulfilled. And it's actually the exact opposite. And we tested this through both of our books. You will see that the chapters in Women Who Ignite are much longer than the chapters in Women Who Inspire. And we have case studied this time and time and time and time again. And hands down, people are more apt to read the shorter stories. They feel like they get more from it because it's just straight, it's to the point, and they feel like it ended properly and that they can move on to the next chapter without feeling like they were left like kind of like wanting more, which is a good thing to an extent, but you don't want your audience to feel like you left them hanging in any way. Do you know what I mean? So that's the reason for the word count. And the reason why, you know, based on our research and just our audience that has followed this book series, really kind of what they're looking for. And a lot of collaboration books, it's the word count's even shorter than 2,500 words for a lot of chapters. But I feel like that for our readers and the depth of the stories being shared between 2,000 and 2,500 is a necessary word count. So that's where we found is our sweet spot. Okay, great. So as you begin to, you know, answer those questions that I mentioned in the beginning of the call, and as you begin to dive into ideas around your chapter, these are some ways that you can begin to, you know, kind of strategize how you'll begin writing. So I would take almost like a triangle, right? But you're going to want like 3 different points. And you're just going to want to go over what are the main 3 things that I want to hit here. You know, do I want to, you know, tell about, you know, my background, you know, and how I got to this point, and then share my challenge and then give the solution? That's like the normal progression of a chapter. You know, and once you have that triangle down, then you would begin to say, okay, so with my background, what do I want to mention? Like, what are the main points that I would like to share with my audience in order for me to gain credibility, right? So now you're going to start putting bullet points under that topic, or under that, you know, subtitle, if you will. And then you'll have your challenge subtitle, or like, this is the essence of your story. So now what do you want to hit under this subtitle, right? So now you're going to start putting bullet points under that. And then in your conclusion or your solution or your offer or your, you know, you know, how you overcame it, it's different for everybody because everyone does something different, and everyone has a different story. So the language is going to be different, but I think you can follow the pattern I'm giving you here. So you're just going to start to put bullet points under each one. And then once you have the bullet points, then you can go back and start to fill in those bullet points and make them into thoughts, right? And then your thoughts become sentences, your sentences become paragraphs, and soon you have a chapter, okay? So that's one way to begin brainstorming and writing your chapter. Some people just want to brain dump. So this is actually an awesome technique that I teach in coaching as well. It's a beautiful mindset mastery technique as far as when you wake up every single morning to spend, you know, 6, 7, 8 minutes just kind of brain dumping on a paper, pen to paper, and just kind of unloading any of those top level thoughts that are in your head so that you can get all of those out, and then you can really get connected and get to the juicy stuff, the stuff that's the important, soul connected, and is going to move you forward in your goal, right? So the brain dump is an awesome technique just in general. But some people feel like they just need to get all of their thoughts out on paper first. And then once they're clear, like once they've gotten like everything out, they can start to then begin to write and really just kind of pull out what's necessary or what the critical information is. Okay. So that's another technique. You know, and a third technique would just be your traditional writing, where if you feel like you really know this story and you don't need to figure out what's going to go where and what your main points are, and you just know the story so intimately that you can begin writing, other people just kind of pull up a Word document and just go for it. And, you know, those people generally have to write that chapter over, you know, 2, 3, 4 times, before they feel like it's at the word count and, you know, at the proper place for them to be able to submit it. Okay. So those are some of the best techniques that people have had success with in the past upon writing. And, you know, everyone works differently. Some people are more visual. Some people, you know, just, you know, are more, you know, they're more task oriented, you know what I mean? So like, just depending on the way you work best, one of these techniques will really connect with you. I'm also going to post in the group a writer's block video of how to overcome writer's block if you get into a place where you feel stuck when you're writing. which I hope doesn't happen to anybody. But if it does, I share a lot of techniques that you can use to get past that and overcome that pretty quickly. And so that's a video that I posted for prior books. So if I mention a prior book in that video, that's why. But all of those techniques still 100% still hold true. So I'll go ahead and post that video in this group as well, because I feel like it would really add some value. All right, so let's talk about the submission of the chapter now. So I'll mention this a million times because it's just so important. I won't assume anyone will remember, and I will not assume anyone heard me the first time, because I just want to make sure everyone gets it. So the first thing is that, at the end of the day, no matter how many editors we have look at this, and it's a handful. I read the book a zillion, I swear to God, Google times before it's submitted, I feel like. Excuse me. A little cold today. We have editors read it. We have authors co-read. I mean, we have people eyes upon eyes upon eyes upon eyes on these books. But at the end of the day, it is the author's responsibility to give the stamp of approval, the go ahead. You give it to me. Kind of, you tell me like okay to print. That's like our final step. It's so exciting when that happens. But it is 100% up to the author to say, this is my chapter, and I approve like every word, every space, every punctuation, like everything within this chapter. Because you will get plenty of chances to look at it, and it's going to be 100% up to you to say, this is my chapter, and I'm looking at it and reading through it and proofing it, and this is exactly the way that I want it to print, okay? So you'll have ample times to do that, but please know that you can have the best editor and proofreader in the entire world, and they will tell you they will still only get 85 to 90% of errors. Every single book you pick up will have an error in it, period, the end. No publisher will ever tell you that any book they printed is perfect, okay? So knowing that there's that 10 to 15% margin of error, then it's going to be up to us to be that intimate with our chapter and our words where we pick those things up so we can ensure we're putting out the best product out for our people, okay? Okay, so when you are submitting your chapter to me, whether it be your first chapter, or your second after copy, like the copy editor looks at it, or third, or whatever it is, every single time you send it to me, I want you to send it to me as if it's going to print. So what do I mean by that? So if you've just kind of brain dumped and been like, okay, let me know your thoughts on this, that's not submitting something that's ready to print, right? So every time that I'm looking at a chapter, it should be to the, it should have been filtered enough and read through enough and proofed enough where you're like, I feel comfortable that if this had to go to print today, this could be my chapter to go to print. There's a lot of reasons for that, but the main reason for that is that if I'm putting my eyes on it and I am having to spend my time on like spelling and punctuation and things like that, then I'm not able to serve you in the way of strategy and really the meat of it. And the essence of the chapter, and really making it feel and be able to position you the best possible way for your business. And that is really where my zone of genius is. And that is where I want to show up and serve you best. So I'm not a proofreader, right? I mean, but I will be if I have to be, because I'm not going to put something out that isn't stellar. But I don't want to be. So let's just refrain from that. Get your mom to read it. Get your sister to read it. Get your business partner to read it. Get, one of the other co-authors to read it, right? But have enough eyes on it where all of those things are taken off the table before it's submitted, okay? So that when I really go to look at that, I can say, how about we tie in this here to help position you this way? Or, how about we, change, some things about how we're representing the story, because that's going to lead people back to this. Do you see what I mean? Like those are the kinds of things that I want to work with you on. Okay. All right, cool. Any questions? Any questions? Go ahead and chat me if you have any questions. My gosh, these flies again. Oh, if you were on I have some people who have crossover in my coaching groups, and if you were on the call with me yesterday, I was talking about the flies. Oh my gosh, they're still here. So I live on a farm, and around this time of year, I don't know what's going on with the crops back there, but the flies are insane. They're crazy, and they're all over my house. And I am on these coaching calls that are being recorded, and I have like flies like going like this, zing, 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 buzzing all over in my ear. Oh God, it's amazing. Usually it's awesome to live where I live, but these flies are not making it easy to concentrate right now. But all is good. All right, so if there's no questions, that's cool. I'm not pressing you for any questions. I just wanted to open up the table in the event that there were some. I'm going to go ahead and throw this video up in the group as a recording so that you can refer back to it at any time. Denise says I answered the questions that I had, so that's great. I know a lot of people said that they were going to be catching the recording of this. So for those of you who are catching the recording, any questions that you do have or any questions that popped up as a result of something I spoke about today, just go ahead and drop them in the links below. And please tag me, tag my name so that I can ensure to see your question, your comment, and I will be sure to answer those questions, okay? So I will do all of those things. I will post this recording. I'll post the writer's block recording, and I'll answer any questions that you have leading up until that point. I will also be dropping the link to my schedule so that you can begin scheduling your strategy call when the time is right for you. Okay? All right. Thanks, guys. I will talk to you soon. Take care.